Hey, welcome back. This is going to be the second portion of the fourth interview that I've done with Medium Charlie Kelly. If you did not see the first part of this interview, I definitely recommend that you go back and watch that now, because we will be jumping right into the second hour of the 3-hour interview. So you may feel a little bit lost if you just jump in here. I want to remind you that the people that I interview on my show are just interviews. It does not mean that I am the expert or the teacher of the style that I am interviewing. I appreciate the comments and the support that you have given me, but if you have your own personal questions about Charlie's classes, please reach out to him on your own rather than me. And with that, I'd like to remind you to please like, subscribe, share, comment on my page and Charlie Kelly's and any page that you find interesting, because it really matters. The support that you give changes the algorithm within our pages, and that little thumbs up means more than you think it does. So again, like, subscribe, comment. I appreciate all of the help that I've gotten with that. Thank you again. We call them the team, this need to be reassured that our team is with us and that they're guiding us and they're telling us what to do and all of these things. But I've always had an issue with it. I think it might be my own, but I would love to talk to you about it. I just hear a lot of people talking about how great their guides are and how they've told them to do this and what their name is. And I don't know. I don't
And their
know that
readings are shit.
exactly. Like I have a very hard time believing that you really have that connection, because I don't see it in your
You don't see
mediumship.
it. Exactly. You don't see it. So when it's demonstrated, like most people, if you've got like teachers or professionals in it, or someone that's out there, and they found me along their way or whatever, a lot of their questioning in private inboxes, in person, whatever, is my relationship with the spirit world.
With your team.
They all want to know about that. That's the bit they all want to know about.
And that's why I was bringing it to your attention, because I know you've got a class on guides, and I know that people have this kind of thing with them. So when you're talking about the team, I just, can you clear up some of the misconceptions, or maybe even, or make it clear how people would understand this better on their own?
The
Uh,
problem is with individuals is that they set a gauntlet for the guide, the team,
yeah.
whatever. So
Yeah.
I'll say team, everyone knows I'm talking about the guide, the gatekeeper, the angel, whatever they need.
Whatever you
I'm
want
going to
to call
refer to that as team.
the team.
And when they keep setting a gauntlet for the team, prove to me, make me aware, make me know, make me this, make me that, me, and then wonder why the dysfunction between that relationship is there or present. So it's like, how many times do you have to know that they're there before you accept that they're there? And so I don't have a ounce of a thought that goes towards the team and proving to me and doing it, because they've proved themselves. They've done that. So I'm not setting a gauntlet all the time, all of the time. Now, the reality is it's an intelligent energy, and the need of the individual and their relationship will be that of personal trait. So it would be really horrible for you to own like negative trait about you as an individual in a relationship with you and your preferred choice. And let's say I have the ability to go and speak to that individual, and that individual says to me, she's a little bit controlling. And you'll be like, no, I'm not. How am I? And so it's only people would see that on an intimate level, wouldn't they? So it's an intimacy that you're creating. So like, I wouldn't dream of talking about my intimate moments with Carol on a video,
No.
or on an OnlyFans, on a TikTok, it would just be weird, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It'd be weird. So I treat it like that. I treat it like this is really personal to me. I'm
Yeah.
really private in my relationship. There's too many people like, Jesus is working with me,
Oh, I know.
or whoever. I don't really care. And they're so absorbed with the fame moment of who this influence is, that
Right.
all their attention goes onto that, or their desire to have a title or a label with it. And what I mean by that is like, they need to know if it's this individual. They have to know. They have to
Mhm.
know. Now, that same person that has to know who the guide is will have difficulty in their mediumship, in their readings, in the relationship area, because they're like, I have to know who it is. I have to know. I'm not talking if I don't know if you're mum, dad, brother, sister, friend, or whatever. And it just stops in the read.
Oh,
And
that's
that's
really
because
interesting.
their need for titles and labels. That's their need, their own personal need. And I realized very quickly, I do not want to be the one bit, the ingredient that stops you having your communication with your mum, your dad, your brother, your sister, or whatever, because I need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, how damning is that? Like later on down the line, like I feel awful that it was my issue that stopped you and your person having
Oh,
a
yeah.
conversation. So my need for names, labels, titles diminished, because actually how important is it to me? Like it doesn't matter. Now, my awareness when I go for the team talk, I'm aware of a female. I'm aware of a female. That's it. That's all I know. I'm aware of a female. She feels nurturing, which kind of makes sense. It's spiritual and all that kind of stuff. So do I question it? But
Yeah.
every time she's asked me to do this or say that or experience this, I just accept it. I accept whatever that is, and it's always right. But I'm not demanding, I'm not expecting, I'm not doing any of those things. It's just an intimate relationship between me and something that feels like the female.
Mm-hmm.
And that female, whenever I've had that awareness and whenever information has turned up and I've said it, has always been pinpoint accurate. So why do I need to put her through a gauntlet every week?
What about the people that are not experiencing the team asking you to experience something? Or what
But
about that person?
they can't experience it because they're going in with a list of demands.
So well said. Yeah. Okay.
And that same individual will tell me that they're the surrendering
Of
medium.
course. Yeah, always.
After you've ticked all my fucking list here,
Yeah.
the whole list, then I'll be open to the idea of different experiences. But I need to know who you are.
Yeah.
I need, and that's not a relationship. That's
No.
a condition. That's working under condition. So you're not even in service now. You're not even doing it for service. You're doing it under condition. I'll do it if I understand it. I'll do it if I know who you are. I'll do it if I've got the relationship, the names, the titles, the labels, providing I've got it, then I'll work for you. Is condition. That's not service. And that with the demands for a communicator is no different to that of a guide, a team
Yeah.
member, an angel, a gatekeeper, fill in the blanks. It's no different. You're approaching it in the same way. I'm approaching it with the magic. My lady that is there that I'm aware of is just a nurturing aspect of it. Fully encouraging, never demanding, never just it may be an emotion, it may be an experience of
Mm.
sorts, it may be absolutely anything. But I'm prepared for absolutely anything. I'm not going in saying, I want this, you do that. I'm not doing that. So
Yeah.
the awareness is very subtle. It's always been there. You'll know it's always been there. But the subtlety is that's the leaning on the faith. I know she's there. I know
Right.
she is. And so that influence, that inspiration, that feeling, that whatever I draw a line under it. So I'm
Mhm.
going to sit with the team.
Yep.
I draw a line under it and I don't expect, I don't demand. I'm just, look, I'm here. And so subtlety has a chance.
Right.
You know what
That's
I
the
mean?
key word is chance.
Yeah, it has a chance right there. But if I go in going, right, I want them to give me big feelings and really
Yeah.
clear pictures. And I just don't think that's the right way to have that relationship.
Well,
It's a little bit one way, isn't it? It's a little
it's
bit one way.
very self-involved, but being someone that has been very self-involved and going in and doing that in the beginning of my mediumship, what I realized years later was I wasn't even ready for what I thought I was asking for.
No.
I hadn't even laid the groundwork
You think
to
you're ready.
be
Yeah, but it's more than that. So again, it's mediumship for me is not it's not like something I do. It's a way of life. And through that relationship that I'm building all the time with a spirit world and that intelligence, whether it be the lady or the collective, it's a way of life. So I'll know if in my surroundings, like what's coming, but I'm not
Yeah.
thinking about what's coming. It's just that I have this subtle awareness of it's around. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a testing day. It's going to be because the energy is supporting that in whatever that is. But the team taught me that. The team taught me that it's here all of the time, every minute of every day, and the information is always there. And you'll have things like that where you're thinking, let's say you're thinking about me, about a class that we've done or whatever, and 2 minutes later, I inbox you on Facebook. Bang. Oh,
Right.
I knew he was gonna. I knew he
Yeah.
was gonna message today, and no one's sitting there questioning. They're just like, "Oh wow, that's magic. Oh, that is amazing. Oh, I
Mhm.
thought about him, and then he texts me. Weird.
Right.
Is it weird? Is it though,
Yeah.
or is it everything is energy, everything. And
Yeah.
I'm fine tuning my reading of energy that when I thought of Kira and 2 minutes later she inboxes, I knew that. And now let me think about that. So when I'm having that thought of whatever it is, fill in the blank, whatever that thought is, what does that mean? And you'll
Mhm.
probably start mapping everything out a lot differently in front of you. Everything.
You mean when you're having, like, just a random thought pop into your head? Is that what you
Is
mean?
it random though? Is it?
Okay, when you're having a thought that you weren't thinking before,
Yeah,
I'm just saying that because it's not calculated. Is that what you're saying is that we're learning through the subtlety? That
that
thing.
energy though, aren't you? Energy's in absolutely everything. It's if my little dog was not right,
Yeah,
I'd be like, there's something not right with her. I can feel it. There's something not
absolutely.
right. And
Yeah.
she can't talk to me, but I can feel something's not right. And I play it safe and I go to the vet and they say like she's got a little bit of an upset tummy, this, that, and the other. But I could feel that. It
Yes.
was in the energy. No one told me. I'm never thinking, is my dog all right? I'm never thinking like that. And so something spoke to me. Something spoke to me. What is that? And that's the energy
Mhm.
that is speaking to me. Now that is very different to manipulation.
Yeah.
So someone deliberately thinking in a particular way or doing something for their own personal gain or their own, that's different. But as a general day-to-day use of energy reading, relationship with a team and communication, all of it's relevant. All of it is magical because you're like, wow, wow. But there's only so many wows before you go, "Do you know what? This is so
Right.
obvious.
Is
This
it
is
you taught me that. I wanted just to reiterate because the way of life, mediumship is your way of life. Most will tell you that, but I've never been taught in this way that this is and I'm trying to explain that to the public. I don't know if I can, but what I've been taught in the past is what you bring to what who you are is what you bring to your mediumship, and it's the way of life. But what you're saying to me is very different in that it's all energy, it's already there. So you're becoming more sensitive to what's already within it, the subtlety, which isn't maybe as subtle in the end. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. It's like it's obvious now. Like all the time it's obvious. Like everything about it's obvious. It's like, of course it is. Of course that
Yeah.
happened.
Right.
It's very I don't know the other styles. Any other style that I've tried to go and be taught under or learned myself, like everybody that will watch this and you gravitate there and then you go there and then you do that. It is there's if I've got like a false projection of who I want to be this way, this style, this aggressive, this, that, this,
Right.
that, then I step off my stage and I become someone completely different. That then the energy you'll be misfiring because you're pretending to be one
Yes.
and you're another. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? You
Yes,
understand what I mean?
absolutely.
Whereas, I mean, you can only ask people that know me on a very personal level that this is it. This is
Yeah.
I'll turn this off and I'll be exactly the same. It
I've
may be
never
not as in intense or subject bound as mediumship, but the
Yeah.
way I am is like if I've got to stand on a stage, I'll go throw a shirt and tie and that on, but I'll be this. This is who I am. So it's I'm at one with it. is what I'm trying to say, without it sounding like I'm fucking Gandhi or anything like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
I'm at one with myself, with my mediumship, with communication, with the energy, that I'm just translating all of the time information, whether it be intelligent information, someone's giving me it, or it just being a static information that is just there, just being that the door is being a door. The energy is telling me it's being a door. So I'm at one with absolutely everything. So when it becomes intelligent, because I'm that, and the door is just being a door. So the door's energy just impresses on me that it's a door. When it's intelligent, I draw it there. When it's intelligent, that kind of impresses on me. It's like, so
Mm-hmm.
now it's not just my natural surroundings, it's being impressed upon me that it's intelligent. They want to communicate, which is actually this bit here and here. It's not here. It's I'm that. And we think we're that.
So does this go? This is a kind of a bigger question, but this must go then with what you were talking about with getting wrapped up in the past, getting wrapped up in our pain or where our attention is. So if we're so caught up there, then how can we feel the subtlety? How
We
can we?
can't. You'll be even more subtle with what's going on. So if I'm this and I'm actually that,
Right.
and I feel that with past trauma, I'm constantly thinking about it. I'm constantly like, oh, poor me. And I'm
Hmm.
constantly doing that. What I'm aware of in my surroundings is the match, isn't it? So I can see outside the window, the grass needs cutting. There's a lot of dead grass as well. I really hit it quite hard. And there's a couple of weeds I need to deal with, and broccoli. It's all getting a little bit too much. But that's my focus. But if
Okay.
I focus I'm like, do you know what? I've only got to go and dress that up, a trim run of trees there. And then I've only got that lawn to do. And that will be like a magical place. I could put spotlights on it and it'll be a really nice place to be around and really create. And that completely fucking changes. And so you need overrides, don't you? Let's say you're not motivated. You're not a motivated individual. You'll play to it, won't you? Nah, can't bothered. Can't bothered. And now I can't be bothered. And everything will be, I can't bothered, can't bothered, can't bothered. I need to recognize in my personal development, oh, do you know what? See that? I can't get motivated for that. So how am I going to trick me out of the way? How am I going to do that? And then I need to trick myself in whatever way I need to become motivated for it. Whatever that will be, whatever that motivation will be for that. So I've got a wall to do because I've got to start recording videos again soon. I've got a wall to do upstairs that I know I don't want to do that wall upstairs. I know I don't want to do it. But you know, in the frame, I'm going to go and peel that bit of wallpaper there because
Yeah.
there's
Right.
no way I'm turning that camera on with that bit of wallpaper ripped off. I'm going to have to fix that. And now I've got motivation. Like I need to
Mm.
fix that because I don't want people seeing that bit like out there on YouTube for the world to see. And they're all going to be like, why has he left that bit of rip on the wallpaper there? So I'm motivating myself for a nice set. Let's get the set ready. Let's get the frame right. Let it be warm, let it be vibrant, let people be inspired. Let's educate these individuals in a nice space. And
Hmm.
now I'm feeling creative about it. And now I could do this and I could do that. And, you know, who knows where it's going to finish up or can't be bothered.
So
So,
our job is to look at that in ourselves, which would be reflected in our mediumship,
yeah. And so
right?
absolutely. I done my last garden and it was like this massive area, and it was all these like stone patties, you know, the square ones. And I
Hmm.
was like, oh man, that needs jet washing and repointing, and so I started there. I done that one, and then I was like, just do the next one, do the next one, and then do that bit, and then do that bit because that will feel like I've got a big bit done. And I realized there was another whole bloody area behind brambles and
Oh gosh.
but I just ended up doing it and I done it and I done it and it looked amazing. And I put a waterfall there down this
Wow.
rockery. And then Carol went out and bought like little fairies and wind chimes to go in the
Oh.
tree that I pruned back. And it become like a fucking Zen garden.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
I remember like, I can't be bothered to do this. I just can't be. So I just done one stone at a time, one at a time, one at a time. And 2 days later, it was like a sanctuary. Like, oh man, I'm so glad I did that. Just one stone at a time. But if I look at the whole job, maybe I should do a rockery. Maybe I should do a waterfall. Maybe I should prune a tree. Maybe I should point the patio and clean the stones. And I'm bothered.
Yeah. That
And
makes a lot of sense.
I've got to trick me. I've got to trick me. No one else can trick me, can they? It's me that's got to do it. So I've got to know that's where I drag my heels there. I drag my heels there. I need to trick myself. There's other things.
Yeah.
Like if you said to me, like, I'm bored, can't bother, can't do anything. Do you want to go fishing for 2 days? Like down at that really pretty, like I'm already in the van. I'm already there.
Yeah.
Let's go. Boom, I'm full of energy. I can't wait because it's passionate. I love the nature, the outdoors, and the so you don't need to motivate me there. I don't even need to trick myself there. I'm there. Let's
Mhm.
go. Let's do it. So there's the positive. Like I'm vibrant. Let's go. But I can drag my heels on that. Let's not do that. So I need
Yeah.
to trick myself to do that. I've got to get myself around that. That's in my life, in my
Mhm.
mediumship, because I'm mediumship is my life and my life is mediumship. And so it's that oneness. So
Mhm.
trick me. What do I do? How do I react? What do I respond to? What's my behavior? What's my mood? And just go through it. It feels a mammoth task as well. It feels
It
mammoth.
does
It feels
because
mammoth, but there's not one person watching this video, not one, that's like, I'll give it a go for 2 weeks and then I'll just knock it on the head. There's not
yeah.
one person watching this video doing that. They've done 10 years development
Mhm.
and it's still a mammoth task. You've done nothing
Totally.
and you're 10 years in,
I
10 years.
I
So
know.
let's break it down stone at a time. Let's just do for the next 2 weeks, let's just do reactive. How are you reacting to situations? Let's just look at that for 2 weeks. I'm telling you, you do that for 2 weeks, you're not going back to it. You've done it. Oh my God, what a difference that has made. For 2 weeks, you're 10 years in, and for
Mm.
2 weeks, we can fix one whole area. Right, next, where am I unmotivated? 2 weeks. Look at it. Stop dragging your heels, trick yourself. So in 4 weeks, you've done reactive and motivation. In 4 weeks, in a 10-year journey. And now the mammoth tasks don't seem so mammoth. It's just what ones am I going to break down?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how am I received? Can I work on that? Am I too aggressive? Am I too independent? Am I too, how do I come across? Let's
Yeah.
work on that. 2 weeks down the line, it's already better. It may not be perfect, but it's definitely better than what it was when you started. We're only 6 weeks down the line into a 10-year development. I mean, so while we're
Yeah.
avoiding the mammoth task, why don't we just break it down and do bit by bit by bit? And then in two short, you'll have the patio with the waterfall and the serenity and the tranquility. And because it feels like you're chasing it for the 10 with no benefit and no gain. There's
Definitely.
nothing's happening, but I've avoided the bits that are going to do that. So it comes back to that saying that I absolutely love: the magic you're looking for is in the work that you're avoiding.
Definitely. But it's also you were saying trick yourself, but I think we're already tricking ourselves into believing we're not doing those things or not even looking at them.
Of course.
And that's where you're looking at mediums that are stepping on platform or lives or whatever. I see it all the time where they instantly change into a different person. I've
Yeah.
seen this so many times where I'm sharing a gallery read with somebody and we're at a church or whatever, and they step on and I'm like, who is that?
Yeah.
Like, you are not that
That's not
person I was just having breakfast with. Like, this is a
yeah.
completely different human. And it just is amazing to me. And I've always thought, if
If
I'm
it
the medium, then why is that a factor of mediumship? If you're
if
the medium, why do you act like that?
the problem is you've got to come at it from two angles, but the problem that you have is that in that way where we see such a dramatic change in an individual of who they are is because of the pretending to be. You've got
Yeah.
maybe they're emulating their favorite person from AFC or
Yeah.
whatever it'll be. And so they become a diluted version of the individual. You've got the problem of in their head, they are a very important dynamic to the individual that they're working with.
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
client. So they're very important in their own head of their position of where they are. So you've got that main character in everyone's story. So it's almost like a messiah complex, really,
Yeah. Yeah.
in what they're doing. When in reality is my service is to serve this individual to help their person. And the reality is neither of them really care about me. They're
Yeah.
trying to help their loved one, aren't they? In what's going on. From the client's perspective, if you're aggressive or you're a little bit too showy or a little bit too arrogant or a little bit, you lose all your authenticity. You lose all of it in that client's mind. It's gone. And the barriers will go up. And now you're
Mhm.
not going to get anywhere with that client. They're not listening. They're switching off. They're protecting themselves through your
Mhm.
arrogance, through your egotistical behavior, through your projection, through your independence, through your. My role is to serve, which means sometimes I need to be soft. I need to be. Sometimes I've
Mhm.
got to be love and lighty,
Mhm.
gods and rainbows. Sometimes I've got to be hard facts, hard truths, draw lines, and be because that's I'm in service, and that's what they need me to do today. So
Mhm.
the way that I'm changing, adapting to the situation is not for me, but for the person that's communicating for their person that's in front of me. I struggle with the idea of changing, to reach some clients. Some clients have got so much trauma, which maybe it's a male issue. All the males in their world have hurt them physically, emotionally, violently, whatever. And then I turn up and it's me. If I come out in any kind of aggression, I'm not helping that client. But if I'm arrogant enough to say, well, this is me, this is what I do, this is my way, this is my routine, my procedure, my experience, and I'm making me main character, aren't I?
Yeah.
And I'm disregarding what that client needs to help them as an individual. And
And you
that
lost the service.
and I've lost it. I've lost it immediately through my own arrogance, through my own egotistical value that I make me a main character in her story. That's mental. That's
But
mental.
then if that's mental, then there's a lot of mental happening out there.
Oh, without a
But
doubt.
that's what we're
Without a
looking at.
doubt. I mean, the whole thing's blowing up at the moment.
Mhm.
None of you are
Yeah.
strangers to what's going on.
Oh, no, I'm
In
not a
the
stranger to that.
background and the ripples, but it's just egos bashing heads together. There'll be one drama-filled individual recruiting other individuals to go and attack the other side of that lion, won't they? And so now it's them against us, and it'll be buddies of one side and buddies of the other, and let's stick together and let's do this and let's do that. And so what will happen is there'll be a massive fallout because of arrogance and egotistical behavior. And who suffers? The
The
students
students, the clients.
and the clients of the
Mhm.
students.
Yeah.
So rather than put the egos on the bench and stop the recruiting, like, I need you on my side, come and do this and say that and
Oh,
post it,
there's
post
very
that. And
very much going on, which is not really a surprise, but it's very much going on in our world. I don't want to say too many names, but it's definitely happening. But
Lots.
we knew it was going to be happening
Yeah.
in a way because we've been talking about this. This is our fourth interview about these kinds of situations coming, and
Well,
it's
I think what I'm trying to underline across 4 interviews is drop the condition, demands, and what happens. If you're in service, that means you do stuff, even though you're kicking and screaming, you'll still do it. You're
right,
in service, which means being adaptable, which
right.
means it don't matter if you're a strong personality. See that man, that woman, that fill in the blank. They don't need your independent strength right now. They need soft words. They need a hug. They need
Mm-hmm.
that is your service. That means change. And
Mm-hmm.
and people aren't they're not doing that. They're not adapting in a way that they need to adapt for the greater good of the individual. I love the sayings from mediumship and spirituality. The greater good, the healing, the intelligence, the and
Surrender,
yeah, and
faith.
no, no one's demonstrating that. No one's doing that. And that's the bit it's like, it's so in the room, right obvious.
Mhm.
It's center stage of the room, and we're all just pretending to ignore it. And it's, are you in service? Are you now? Are
Mhm.
you actually in service now? So the the motivation, unfortunately, right now is financial. There's a lot of financial
Yeah.
problems that are going on, and there are ways that you can like balance that out. So I'll do, let's say, 100 services this year where I won't take a penny,
Yeah.
but from the individuals. But there's others that are like, well, I need the big payday theatre ticket, and I've got to do that instead of doing the grassroots area of the church. And I'm not saying I'm right, they're wrong, they're right, I'm wrong. I'm not. I'm saying, but you could balance it out. If it's service, you could balance it out, couldn't you? So I could do two big ones and cover my expenditures,
Right.
and I'll do 100 free that gets to the grassroots and educates on what's going on.
Yeah.
Just not seeing enough of it, to be fair. So I hear a lot of service, I hear a lot of surrender, I hear a lot of intelligence, I hear a lot of it, but walking that talk seems a little bit different. And I mean, people will see it for themselves eventually, won't they? Eventually.
I
But
wanted to say I was teaching this class on meditation, sitting in the power. I have a lot of clients that want to communicate with their loved ones, but they don't want to be a medium.
yeah,
They
yeah,
just want
yeah.
to know they're there. And
Yeah.
it's not that hard. So I was teaching this kind of 4-week class, and I had an idea that I would make a theme, like a word, whatever, healing, listening, whatever the
Yeah.
word happened to be. And then I had another idea the next week of like some maybe questions or things that the spirit world might come to answer, and they were very simple. It wasn't like a too specific. So in this class, we found that they were addressing every question in the order that I had written it,
Yeah, of course.
um, of course. And also the theme word was addressed throughout the entire class. These are people that are not mediums. Some of them are
Yeah.
different levels, whatever. And they were just blown away. And I was blown away. And then I'm like, why am I blown away? Like, that is not like, if you believe, if you have faith and surrender, then
I've
why?
literally
That's the
just done it as well,
simplest.
haven't I? Of course that's what would happen. Of course it is.
Of course it is. And so, but then I realized, well, this is what Charlie's always talking about is communication, isn't it? Like, let's talk about healing today. Can we talk about that subject in this very general way in these 3 different areas? And they do it. If the person is truly there with it, it was in order. The ones that were not truly were getting it in different orders or
Of
whatever,
course.
but it was happening.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
of them, every one of them.
But
Nobody was not.
in the same analogy that you're offering there with your class and the way that information drops in is exactly what I'm talking about. Where
Yeah.
if you give it a chance, there'll be people that just run. They run real quick with it, and the people that are a little bit demanding or they've got this weird idea or whatever, it would show itself diluted a little
Yes.
bit further down the line, but they're not giving it the chance to do it. So
Yeah.
it's quite difficult to get someone to turn up and not like a lot like plan out how their day's going to go or their evening's going to go. Like there's not many people where I can go, just look, just turn up. It's going to be the most peaceful time that you've had. Just put your feet up, stop your brain from thinking, just relax. There's not many that can do that, is there? There's not many.
No. And to your point, we did see that within the class. We saw the demanding and the answers. You could see it in the answers. You could feel it in the answers. They're very flat, robotic,
Yeah.
like what you would expect. But even within those controlling moments, you could still feel just a hint of the spirit world had come because
Yeah,
they would
yeah.
say something.
Drop, mic drop, mic.
Yeah, mic drop, exactly. But we were also seeing things where each person was saying the similar things or the same exact thing throughout
Yeah,
the entire class, and there's 10 of them there. So it's just displaying the smallest bit of intelligent, yet we think it's incredibly intelligent. And it's like, but if you take that back to your mediumship, which of course I did, like, well, then, Kira, why don't you just take that back? And so now the readings are more, I guess, what you've taught me, which is more in the energy. So they've brought their energy to the reading, and the
yeah.
spirit world is bringing what
I
that
think
energy
ultimately we're
is.
trying to get the essence of the person that's turned up. So that essence can be vibrant. It can be an array of things, can't it? Whatever that will be, and it will have the right impact, providing I'm getting that essence across. What I'm not doing is saying, look, I
Yeah,
love it when it sounds like this, so I'm going to do
exactly.
this, and I'm going to do, and that's when it'll get across, but it
Yeah.
won't be in its purity. It won't.
That
It won't.
spiritual energy that you talked
Yeah, it
about,
won't be
that sort of
purity.
demonstrates that. But I
Yeah.
was thinking, oh, well, that's what's happening. I suppose that the person is turning up and those hidden questions or that hidden theme or whatever, it's in there.
Mm.
And it's just if you're free enough, it's going to be coming out in whatever way that is. You don't know.
Well,
Um,
it's wherever your attention, isn't it? Attention again.
yeah.
If your attention's on like relation, passing, this, that, then it's what happens, isn't it? If the client says like, "Did they not want to talk about that last week?"
Yeah.
Then all the information from that moment is all about the last week. Now,
Yeah.
it's where your attention is, which is that.
Actually, regarding that question, I did have something to say about that. You have the clients that interrupt you the whole time because they have
Mhm,
questions that they want you to answer.
mhm.
It can be very difficult for the medium. Well, this one was interrupting the whole time, which was very difficult for the read, and then asked a question pertaining to what her person was thinking before he did a certain thing.
Can't validate it.
Thank you, because I couldn't answer it,
You can't
and
validate it. It's not evidence. It's
I
subjective,
I was
isn't
like,
it?
I
It's
didn't get
subjective.
that. Yeah,
Now,
okay.
as an example, because I know very little about the read or whatever, only what the viewers know because they've heard it at the same time. Is let's say I've taken my own life. Let's say I've done something like that. Then the only way I can validate that in any kind of way, shape, or form is that I'm out of character. I'm becoming more and more withdrawn. I'm that so they can validate that. Oh,
Right.
he was withdrawn and his mood had changed and everything he done was out of character, and this would lead to me taking my own life.
Okay.
Then that would be a subjective statement, but is actually validated because it was recognized that they were doing certain aspect. But you can't answer it with, well, you upset me at 11:30 in the morning and it was the last straw and I just couldn't take anymore and so I did fill
Mhm.
in the blank. Yeah,
Mhm.
you can't validate that.
No.
And unfortunately, there are mediums out there that would dramatize a
Yes.
situation like that. And because it makes them look good or sound good without any consideration of the damage that they have just caused to that client.
Exactly. For the person that is being aggressively interrupted during a professional read, not a student read, what is the advice you would give the medium that keeps going after
It's
good?
what the way that I work is evidentially and everything needs validating. So it's not I'm not asking you a question and you giving me an answer. I'm making a statement and you're saying that is correct. So I can then say, look, I don't ask you questions. You don't get to ask me questions. Let's see what they're saying and we can
Okay.
do whatever at the end or to pull the reading short and right. I recognize that you had questions during that read. I'm drawing this read to a close. You've still got 8 minutes. Let's go through some of those questions,
Okay.
which means I've let the communicator go and I can just say, I wouldn't have answered that anyway. I wouldn't have been able to do that. I wouldn't have. Now, if they're sharing moments, not questions, moments. So dad wants to talk about how every Saturday morning you would go down to the London docks. Oh my God, we did that for 8 years. It was amazing. It's one of my fondest memories. And then we'll make our way round to Billings. Just let them talk. Just let them talk because they're getting it off. They're getting it off their
Yeah.
chest. I'm in
Oh.
service. I'm not there to look good. I'm not there to
Mhm.
be amazing. I'm there to be of service for the man that wants to talk to his daughter. And so maybe the need of the client there is that she needs to talk. Then I'll let her talk. But I'm not letting her ask questions. Don't mistake the two with what's going on.
And
If they
w
ask a specific question,
yeah, okay.
where's the
Safe.
money? Where's
It's always the money. It's always the
yeah, where there's a will, there's a family. So where is the safe? I will say to them, I'll ask. However, I won't make up an answer. If I
Yeah.
receive
Okay.
an answer, I'll give you the answer. But if my awareness is too clouded, I'm diluting too much, I'm thinking too much about it, then I won't humor you with an answer. I won't do that. And what I'm doing is I'm keeping my authenticity with the client.
Okay.
And so like, I'll ask him where the safe is. And he's showing me a Harley Davidson neon light. You'd understand he had one of those. Yeah, he did. Right. Okay. Right. Let me ask again. Right. Whereabouts is this safe? And then they'll give me it. And at that point, they'll find the safe. But I'm not putting myself under pressure. Mediums make the biggest mistake of going,
Yeah.
I've got to find the safe.
Never been
I
able to
don't
answer
have
that
to.
one.
I haven't got to find the safe. I know he knows where it is. So
Yeah.
he's telling me where it is. Like I ain't got to find it. He's going to tell me where it is. And here we go. So yeah. Yeah, I've got millions of stories like that. Millions.
I mean, we love all of the stories.
I remember where I was working in a small town called Rye, and it is a beautiful town in the UK. If you're ever in the UK, all cobblestones and this little church I was working in and whatever. And the family, I was doing a dem, and the family were so I'm in Rye, and I'm doing a demonstration, and I'm working with two younger ladies, and it's really unusual for them to shout out something like that at a dem. Like everything you're saying is right, Charlie, but actually we can't find the money. And we know he had it. We know he had it. And I immediately felt my foot on a floor, a wooden plank. It was immediate. So they've shouted out, and then I felt a wooden plank. And I said, oh, he must have like a workshop, like where you can get under a car, like in a bay. And she went, oh, he did. And I said, well, at one end, it's wooden planks because I can feel them. I'm stood on them. I can feel it. And she went, yeah, there is. And I was like, well, it's there. And they shot off. So off they went and done it. And I was doing a residential down the road, like an hour away. And then they turned up and they were like, we found it. We found the money. Like, thanks. And I was like, cool, that's great. I had one where they got to the message in a one-to-one reading, and I saw a sold sign. In the UK, when we're selling properties, we've got like a for sale out the front on a stick.
Yeah,
and
we
then
do too. And then the sold.
yeah, and then it's sold across it. And I said, oh, I've just seen, as we get to the message, I've just seen he wants to talk about the house being sold. And she went, yeah, we hand the keys over at like, I don't know, at 1 p.m. or something today. I can't remember what it was, 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. p.m. I can't remember. But their face looked like dread, absolute dread. And I was like, well, let's see what we're doing. And I said, I need to go upstairs. So there's an upstairs in the property. And there's like what we would call a box room. It's like the same width as it is length. And she's like, yeah, that's right. And I was like, oh, I feel like a moment of dread come over me because you haven't pulled the carpet back. And she was like, no, we haven't. And I was like, well, do you have time? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, then you better go. And they left. I was like 20 minutes into the read and they left. They shot off. I still remember the car they shot off in. And they shot off in the car. And about an hour later, they were like hysterical on my phone, hysterical. He had hidden all his money under the floorboard
Oh my God.
in the box room. They nearly sold the
Oh
house the
my
next day, and
God.
it would have all been gone. Yeah, so things like that, rings,
I
diamond
remember
rings.
that ring one,
Yeah,
with the clock underneath the clock.
yeah. I couldn't take my eyes off it. Couldn't take my eyes off the clock. And I get to the end of the read, and I was like, "Do you mind if I have a look at that clock?" And she looked at me so weird. It was so funny. She was like, "Yeah, sure, you can look at my clock." And I remember ripping her carpet up. It was unbelievable. I cringe now thinking about it, but I remember peeling it off the gripper bar, and under that was her mum's ring that they had lost, a diamond ring that was worth thousands of pounds. And
Yeah.
so it's like everything's available, everything. The mindset towards it is what's limiting. So Mediums are like, I'll try and get their name. But my mindset is they know their name.
Right.
So I've just got to give it a space to be able to do it. They know where the safe is. They know this, they know that, and etc. The only one I'm really careful with is when they turn up and they say, so my partner's died and they're upset, or their dad or whatever, but we've got some really important information on here.
Oh, yeah, like
Um,
the password.
yeah, do you know the code? I just say no, I can't do it. I don't do that.
Yeah,
Uh,
that could open up a can of worms, couldn't it?
well, I don't know what's on it. I
Yeah,
don't know. It may
that's what I mean. Yeah,
destroy the family. So
yeah,
I say I can't do it. I, I can do it, but I just say I can't. And so that's, if we rewind the interview a little bit, and I'm like, there's a lot of arrogance and a lot of egotistical behavior that takes place. It would look amazing if I was like, guess that, punching a code, and
right.
I look great. I look good for it. But the collateral damage that goes with that, for me looking good, is it's just a little bit too uncomfortable for me in that moment. So, and I've learned from experience. I've had that come up. I had one, I was in Marbella in Spain, and I had a young lady book a reading with me, and she could have only been, I don't know, early 20s. And like, without going into any kind of detail, really, it's very private what's going on. She was looking for her partner that was assumed abducted and murdered because of the crime scene that was left behind. Like the rampaging through the house, you could see it look like a burglary, and the passports are on the floor and this and the other, like an absolute mess of a crime scene. And she turned up and she asked for her partner, and it's only happened to me, I'm going to say 3 times. From instant memory recall, I can remember 3, where the lady that I talk about as my
Mhm.
team, I always talk to the communicator
Yeah.
unless they're not there. And then I talk to her. And she's like, you ready for the reading? I'll get ready to record. And right, okay, so what are we doing today? Well, I want my partner. Oh, okay. Like, I was going to do it, but you've gave me too much information already. But here we go. I'll go get your partner. And I went where I go for communication, and wherever I looked, I just saw my lady just like, not happening.
Wow.
Yeah, not happening. And I was like, your partner's not in the spirit world, which I can see how upset she is. Like,
He wasn't actually in the spirit. So she was saying
he's
he's
not
not
here.
here.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought you were saying don't say anything, but she
yeah.
was
Like,
saying not here.
no, he's not here.
Oh my
He's
God.
not available. And so I said that, but I didn't do it tactfully. It was not there. And she was like, he is there. And I was like, he is not there. And she got, understandably, she got not aggressive, but heated. I don't know. Aggressive is probably a better word, but I feel like it's too much. You can get,
Mhm.
like, she's got a little bit het up. She's getting snappy. She's getting quick
Yeah.
on her response, and I can see I've angered her. I didn't mean to anger her, but you're asking for someone in the spirit world. I feel like you're tricking me. So I'm
Yeah.
reacting to her feeling like, are you a journalist? So we're both
Yeah.
getting a little bit snappy. And I said to her, give me your phone. And she gave me her phone, and I saw a name on a Facebook search bar, and I punched it in on her phone, and I turned it round and I said, is that him? And he had faked his own death. He had another wife and kids, and yeah, and I was like, so he's not there. And I gave her phone back. But then I'd, like, years down the line, I mean, this is 10 years ago or more, like, I should have handled that much better. I should have done better there. Should have been more tasteful in it, but it was like,
Yeah.
for a lot of my journey's not been a simple journey. It's not been one of love and light. You know what I mean? It's like, it's one where people are like scrutinizing me. People have got wonderful stories about me and all that kind of stuff. So I was very lone wolf very early on, and very defensive because everyone's attacking me from every angle. And then this client come in and it felt like she's attacking me, and in hindsight, I should have been more professional and done it more appropriately, which I've learned from the mistake now. Like, I would
Yeah.
definitely handle that differently. But equally, demonstrating my faith in my communication. Like, it was, I trusted the woman that was
Mhm.
there, and she said he's not there, then who am I to argue with that? That's my point, is that mediums are like, at times they are willing to go with it, and at times they question themselves. And there has to be a day where it is or it isn't. It's a choice. And I
Yeah,
choose
right.
to serve and listen. I choose to do that. And it don't matter if I'm having one of them days where I'm all self-conscious about myself, or
Mhm.
I am gonna listen, I am gonna do this. It always pays off. It always works out. There has to be a day that line is drawn where you go, do you know what? I'm going with this, and go with it.
Mhm.
Regardless if it's scary or whatever. So yeah, I mean, and it happens all the time. I mean, you'll hear loads of stories from other people where they're tricking mediums,
All the
etc. You know.
time.
I had one come in and ask for her brother, and the same. I remember that'll be the second of the three that I can remember. And my woman, she just does that. No words,
Right.
nothing. She's just like, he's not here. And I said to the woman, like, and I'm more confident this time around. It's the second time it's happened. I was like, "Oh, your brother's not in the spirit world. You're asking for a brother, but he's not in." She went, "Ah, I was just seeing if you were real."
Oh, that's awful.
And I said, "Oh, that's great. Out.
Good for you.
A
What are you
game to you.
doing?
This isn't a game to me. So I'm not
Yeah.
prepared to work under those conditions. So the reading is now over, and you are now leaving my property." And I stood up and I walked to the door and I opened it, and get out and go from there. So yeah, it's
But
one of
you
those.
wouldn't have known it had you not trusted. I think that's a really good point. You wouldn't have known. You would have gone and tried to find the brother, the
Well,
age, the
the problem
relationship.
is, like, where I'd done a lot of work on self and recognizing how embellished, added, and made the rubber duck, the pond like water fountain garden, and this. I recognized that in myself, and I was like, we can't do that. I need to get rid of this real quick. And
Yeah.
like, don't give Charlie time to do it. That
Mhm.
I'd done that work that allowed me to go, hold on a minute. I went there and there was nothing there. Now,
Okay.
given 3, 4 seconds, my brain would have gone, "Oh, you're looking for a man? I'll get one for you. Hold on. What about this guy?"
What do you think of
Exactly.
people calling for investigation of somebody that's been missing?
Yeah, yeah, I've done it. I've done those kind of things, and it's okay. It's like when we get there, or there's like a massive ripple effect to what goes on though. Like,
Yeah.
you can't comprehend what will take place in that moment of you doing that. Now, I know the argument will be, but shouldn't that mother know where her daughter is? No, I understand that argument. I understand what's going on, but we don't know what's happened behind the scenes. We don't know
Yeah.
what is going on and what we're about to wreck. So it's like that one motion does many different things, maybe
Yeah.
positive, negative. So now, I know there'll be a viewer like, what could possibly override that? And it would be my philosophy. Like, so I am a big, everything evidentially for me points in one area, that this conversation is not random. I was put on your path, you were put on mine for whatever reason that is, whatever it is. It's by design that we're having this conversation.
Is that, well, you can answer this later because it's a different question, but is that all of our lives?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, like everything happens for a reason, that thing that everyone
Everything.
says?
Everything, yeah.
Everything.
Well, it
Okay.
actually supports it when I say to you that the information is there every minute of every day, all of the time.
Yeah.
That it's obvious. Everything's obvious. So I
Yeah.
don't know what that is. I don't know what was in the design of life. I don't know.
Yeah.
And maybe the design is that story that someone is taken and not to be found.
Okay.
Maybe they're taken and maybe to be found. That would be the other argument with what's going on. But so because of that, I choose not to get involved in it.
It always felt a little strange to me when
Yeah,
people ask. I just ask because somebody tricked me into doing it. a
Yeah.
while ago. And she was like, "Oh, I want to hear from a friend," but she didn't know this person.
You'll be surprised.
And I
I
was
may
like,
have shared it with you. I may have shared it with you. I can't remember. And it weren't so many moons ago that I did it. I was doing a dem and I saw, from memory, it was something like a 10-year-old boy that I was working with. And he showed me that he was on a road called the A14. And he showed me the junction on which he lived at. So you pull off this junction on the A14 and it's this area. He showed me that. And he showed me that he was playing on his bike near this junction on the A14. And then this vehicle had hit him on his bicycle, but drove off. And I saw the make, the model, and the license plate of this vehicle. I'd already given his name, the junction, the time of year, the day or whatever of this boy and being hit. And his mum was in the audience and she was sobbing like,
"Oh yeah,
that's absolutely correct. That is my 10-year-old boy. And I saw the license plate, but I also saw that he was never caught. I saw
okay,
that. So I turned to the chair and I said to her, give me a pen
mm,
because I'm going to forget this very quickly.
mhm,
And I wrote down the license plate number. And I said to mum, I know he was never caught. I know he was never caught in this so-called vehicle. And she was like, yes, that's correct. And I said to her, but I did see the license plate. So if you want the license plate, come see me after the dem. I've wrote it down on this little bit of paper and do what you will with it. Because we are in our development, we are all a little bit guilty of believing we're here to save the world.
yeah, totally."
And so in that phase of my development or my demonstrating, I was probably in the phase of let's help everyone. Let's
Yeah,
save everyone. So I
yeah,
remember it being around that kind of time. I've later learned that not everyone wants saving, but I was very much naive in that fact that I'm here to save the world. And maybe, suffering with that messiah complex myself and being really good and da, da, da. So I wrote it down. And I carried on the dam. It was another 40 minutes after that, and I've done the dam, and this venue's clearing out, and I'm waiting just in case someone wants like a question, or some people want a photo sometimes, and that
mhm,
sort of stuff. So,
yeah.
I'm waiting. I'm taking my tie off and undoing my cufflinks just to be normal again, get out the suit, and I'm waiting. And I watched that mum get up and leave. So I had the license plate of the person that took her
Oh,
little
and she
boy's
didn't go
life.
get it?
No, she didn't want it.
Wow.
She didn't want it. Now, I know what the viewers will be doing here now, especially the females. Like, how can a mum do that?
Yeah,
And if you're a developing medium, you are now judging,
right.
and we are not to do that in
Yeah,
development. We're not to judge. I don't know the circumstance. I don't know what went on. I don't know what happened prior or after what had happened. Is it strange? In my judgment, yes, in my judgment, but it's not my story.
mhm,
And I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe she left. I can't
yeah,
believe she didn't." But she didn't come and get it, which is mind-boggling to me, mind-boggling.
yeah,
But I didn't do anything with it, so it was like, "Oh, well, that's what it is." And that obviously set me on a pathway of, like, recognizing, like, I must have got in the car and gone like, "I can't believe that mum didn't take the" and then
mhm.
I've obviously questioned myself after that in some way or another that I had to go and look at myself like, who am I? Who am I to judge that story on the little information that I had? I know she lost her boy in a hit and run accident, but nothing else. I don't know anything else. But what we do is we fill it in, don't we? Let's
We
fill in the
assume,
blanks.
but you're right, it also goes with free will. If you would have just handed it to her, it would have been different than her saying, "I don't wanna relive the trauma," or whatever she did she with it.
I think there will be
Um,
some mediums that would have said it out loud.
oh, definitely, but that's just to your point of the ego, of just
Yeah.
flaunting and peacocking, which we see most of what we're seeing. When in your experience, if we're looking at limitless, I know I always ask you this, but I
Yeah.
love your stories about limitless. If we're looking at limitless, what are other examples that you've experienced? And that concludes our second portion of this interview. If you like this interview and you want to hear the next section of it, please make sure that you subscribe and like, and follow Medium Charlie Kelly on mediumcharlie.com, YouTube, Medium Charlie Kelly, Facebook, Medium Charlie Kelly.